Telling my whole life, it's worth killing me softly. Come on, with his song.
Good morning, and welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known News. As you saw, Lauren Hill and Wyclef at the funeral of Lauren Roberta Flack. Stevie Wonder was there as well. He also sang a few songs. It was a outpouring of love, Neil, for the late great Roberta Flack.
Well, good morning, Black America, and welcome to Let It Be Known. That was a beautiful tribute. I think that it went viral. A lot of people were saying she made it on time. She sung Killing Me Softly, but what was the song that she started with first? She started with another Roberta Flack song, and then she went into Killing Me Softly. But it was just a beautiful service. A lot of I saw Al Sharpton was in the house. Black Press USA's Mark Thompson was in the house. And so it was a nice pouring of love for Miss Roberta Flack and all of her contributions to music.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a shame we've been talking about this is that keep burying these legends, and it comes at a time where like Roy Ayers, Hazel Dukes,
Dwayne
Roberta Flack, of
Wiggins,
course, Dwayne
Tony,
Wiggins, yeah,
Angie
it's
Stone.
Angie Stone, yeah, and so it's really a tough time in the entertainment world and in the civil rights world too. I mean, Hazel Dukes was a true champion of civil rights, so um, not the best of times, but want to say good morning to everyone. Power 96 Orange is celebrating the fact that March Madness is beginning. He says his money is under his mattress and it's looking good because Trump is crashing the stock market on purpose. Oh, absolutely. And he's right. Tech heavy NASDAQ 100 plunged 3.81%. That's its biggest single day loss since 2022. And the U.S. Stock market has lost 1.7 trillion in value, as he says, as RNG says, after Don the Con recession talking. Want to say good morning to Omaha. See, there's a lot of black people in Omaha. Y'all didn't know that. So Terry Sand, she's out there. Terry's out there in the Omaha
We're
Star, the best
everywhere. We're
newspaper.
everywhere.
That's right. That's right. The best newspaper there is out there. So support the Omaha Star. She's up early out there. But yeah, there's a lot of little things going on. And I want to start, and the only reason I'm starting with this because it's just one of those what you call the FAFO, uh, because Canada is not playing. So you remember all of the threats of the tariffs against Canada,
Mhm.
and then Trump finally said, okay, I'm going to delay them. I'm not going to do it. Well, Canada is still moving forward with theirs. Ontario's premier, the leader of Canada's most populous province, announced that effective yesterday, it is charging 25% more for electricity to 1.5 million Americans. Um, this is this is not just in response to Trump's trade war. This is a direct shot at Trump's um, trade war. Now, the province of Ontario, just so folks will understand, they provide electricity to Minnesota, New York, and Michigan. So they are not playing around, Neil.
No, they're not playing around. But I mean, as a whole, it don't take Canada to make our electricity high. My electricity bill is ridiculous.
Tell me about
Okay?
it.
And it's right here in the good old USA. So, I mean, this is just a reflection of inflation. But of course, this right here is a direct response to Donald Trump. But electricity is high everywhere. Welcome to the club.
Listen, I'm tempted to take mines off that auto pay and be like, you know how we do. I'll put some on it.
Okay, I mean, it's ridiculous at the rate, and then they charge you now. Of course, you have to pay for your trash, you have to pay for your sewage, you have to pay for your electricity and water. So that's just one bill, okay? And then the heat, the gas is a whole nother. But the way that bill is coming in every month, you would think that I was supplying water for the entire county of Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's horrible what's happened. And again, look, they folks, if should have been paying attention, maybe they were paying attention. I think they were paying attention, but I just think that we have too many cases of it ain't gonna happen to me. He's my guy. He ain't gonna do that to us. They
Yeah, and
wanted it to happen to everybody else.
he's not thinking about us. He is not thinking about us. He's barely thinking about the billionaires. He's mostly thinking about himself and how to get his family richer. And of course, Jared Kushner, because he's the in-law. So the Trumps and the Kushners, they are in there racking up the dough.
Yep, without question. Eh, it's like a they got I'm sure they got the cash machine just rolling along. It's terrible stuff. Oh man. Daniela Pierre, yep. She said put something on it or start a payment plan. That's what I'm talking about. These bills are too high. Shoot.
Yeah, they're too high. I mean, and then the thing about it is we just don't know how we're gonna survive all of this, especially going into it's over 1,000 days left with Donald Trump.
Oh gosh, you've
And
been counting.
yeah, I have the Project 2025 tracker up. It says we have 1,411 days, 5 hours, 17 minutes, and 5 seconds. Okay? And count it.
Wow.
Count it down.
Wow. That is pretty amazing right there. And
Mhm.
speaking of these high bills, this this next story will explain is pretty much self-explanatory, right? Because there's a new study out that shows that nearly half of Americans, 44% in total, have a side hustle, with 43% relying on it just to stay afloat. Now, LendingTree did this survey. They said most aren't racking in big bucks either. 71% earn less than $500 a month, and nearly a quarter make under $100. 18% bring in at least $1,000 a month, though. And men report earnings more than double what women do, an average of $1,580 to $749. And the younger generation is leading the side hustle. 60% of Generation Z and 55% of millennials are taking on extra work, compared to 39% of Generation X and 24% of baby boomers. So folks are getting side jobs, Nia.
Yeah, and I think like two things are happening. Number one, you just need a second job, but two, you have this younger generation that doesn't really want the traditional 9 to 5 401k plan. They're not interested in that. And especially coming out of COVID, nobody wants their time regulated. And what we found in COVID is that you could get the job done and it doesn't take
Right.
8 hours. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so it's now, as long as I get my job done, I check off my tasks per day, I'm completing my assignments. Why are you concerned about how I spend my time? Now, if I could do 2 jobs in the same time of 8 hours, why does that bother you?
Right.
And that's their
Right.
mindset. And they're like, there's this TikToker, and he's always telling the millennials about asking for more money. When 5 o'clock hits, you shut your computer down, you cut your phone off, you are not accessible to anybody. You take all your breaks, you take
Right.
your PTO time, you take your sick time, and you don't let nobody mess with your self-care. This younger generation is more concerned about self-care than they are about doing somebody else's work. So I
It's
believe
true.
all of that.
Yeah, it's definitely true. I have a 26-year-old who is she is exactly that. She takes her PTO in a minute, and she takes, she's done. But like you said, time to clock out. She's out. She got her
Time,
own life.
yeah, and the generation, including we want to be entrepreneurs. We want our
Mhm.
own businesses. We want to be in control of our own time, and we have ideas that we want to see successful. That's why TikTok is so successful, because TikTok is probably the number one side hustle. You can
Oh, how
create
about that?
a store. You could go in there and create stores and create your own income, your own source of income. And so social media is really a hustle within itself now, because you can make a lot of money on it.
It's true. And I agree with what Greer is saying. They want a worker mentality for Americans.
Yeah. That's why Donald Trump and Elon Musk want us all to come back to work. They still have that slave mentality. They want to be in control of people, and they want to be able to regulate and oversee our time. They don't want us out there, getting their job done in 3 hours or so and then doing what we want to do. No, they want you in the building so that they can regulate your time. That is a slave mentality, or a
Yep, no
slave
question.
master's mentality.
Exactly. And even as, like, for instance, Daniela Pierre, she says, even with higher education, you need 2 full-time jobs just to afford one roof. And that's the case in a lot of places. Um, Folks are getting these degrees and finding out that it is not leading to anywhere near where they thought it would lead. And that's unfortunate, because you pay forever for a student loan or whatever. Of course, RNG weighs in that he's offering, of course, like his son, like he did to his son. He's offering loans. He says his interest rates are only 20% on the dollar. This guy. Um, it's horrible. So my
has had a massive issue on productivity.
okay.
Tradies have definitely pulled back on productivity. They have been paid a lot to do not too much in the last few years, and we need to see that change. We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40, 50%, in my view. We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer, not the other way around. I mean, there's been a systematic change where employees feel the employer is extremely lucky to have them, as opposed to the other way around. So it's a dynamic that has to change. We've got to kill that attitude, and that has to come through hurting the economy, which is what the whole global, the world is trying to do. The governments around the world are trying to increase unemployment to get that to some sort of normality. And we're seeing it. I think every employer now is seeing it. I mean, there is definitely massive layoffs going off. People might not be talking about it, but people are definitely laying people off, and we're starting to see less arrogance in the employment market, and that has to continue, because that will cascade across the cost balance.
You
That
can't
is
put the genie back in the bottle. We're not putting the genie back in the bottle. We're not putting it back in the bottle. Sorry. Because I think what we've learned during COVID is that you could get the job done in 3 hours, because most people sitting at their cubicles, they're on social media, they're on their phones, they're talking to their loved ones, they do a little work, then they go to lunch or they take their break, then they come back up, do the same thing, do a little work, do a little social browsing on their cell phone if they can't do it on their computers, talking to their family, then they go to lunch, and they do it again in the afternoon. And so it doesn't take 8 hours. And what does it matter as long as I'm getting your job done?
No, but as Greer pointed out, thank you, that it's what we just saw, slave owner vibes. She says, I hope people understand where capitalism learned its labor management practices and philosophies. The idea, the arrogance of that guy, the disgusting arrogance. So they intentionally, he basically said what is going on. They're tanking economies. They want to drive the unemployment rate high again. And so in their minds, that workers will better appreciate their jobs, and they'll be willing without, without any problems, without any kickback or feedback, going back to the office for 8 hours plus. It's arrogance, and it's racism too.
These Gen Zers, these millennials, and these alphas, they're not having it. They're just not. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. It's not going to happen. And if you want your companies to thrive and survive, maybe you're going to have to adjust, and we're all going to have to adjust. It's give and take. You know what I'm saying? This younger generation, I will agree, they don't want to work. They really don't want to work.
Oh, you're right. They want to be entrepreneurs. I agree with you. They want to be entrepreneurs for the most part. And then you have some, like I said, I mean, I have one who just wants to you want 8 hours? I'm going to give you 8, but don't ask for anything more.
Right.
I'm out.
There are a lot of them, they do want to work, but what they're not going to do is they're not going to do above and beyond what they're paid. Okay.
Right. And nor should they be expected to.
Yeah. I'm not working 2 minutes over if I'm not getting paid for it.
Right.
I'm not picking up any extra projects if it's not in my job description. They're just not doing it. And I take note from them. You know what I'm saying? I take note from them because, my generation was one, well, if I do more, then maybe I'll get more. But this generation is, if you want more, pay me more, or you're not getting nothing. I'm not doing this on a baby.
And to go along with that, we see that record-breaking number of Americans have applied for UK citizenship. That is an all-time high. So the all-time high is 6,100 applications, which is a 26% increase compared to the year before. So folks want to get out of here, Niel. And I don't know about the UK. You think the UK is all right?
I mean, I just think that that's an example of, I'm pretty sure if we would have researched a couple more, we would see I know Ghana, they're giving away free citizenship, and Black folks is rushing to Ghana. And I think just people are ready to be world citizens. And, Donald Trump called all these other places shithole countries. Well, guess what? That's how we feel now, and so why not? I want to be a world citizen.
That reminds me, Niel, of I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that reminds me when you said that Louis Farrakhan and Mike Wallace interview some years ago, and Mike Wallace was talking about oh gosh, one of the nations in Africa. I can't remember, but he called it the most corrupt nation, and Farrakhan read him the Riot Act and was spot on with his response to Mike Wallace about America. He's like, how can you sit in judgment of that nation? Sure, there's corruption in that nation. However, you're no moral judge. Farrakhan really went, it was Nigeria. Yeah, thank you, Orangey. Farrakhan really went deep. And the thing I liked about that was the facts. And remember, we talked about Homegirl that was on the other day. Just give us facts. Don't give us all of this crazy talk. Just present facts, and we can work with facts. And
Right.
in that discussion, that interview with Mike, he shut Mike Wallace down. Mike Wallace looked like he wanted to crawl under a rock when Farrakhan was done with him, but he presented facts, and that's the thing. Like these uh, black MAGAs that we've been talking to, just present facts. They're unable to present facts. Denise Rolock Barnes, the publisher of the Washington Informer, is watching. She says, "I'm so glad you're not talking about the generation that works for the Washington Informer, where the owner and employees are grateful for their jobs. We work hard and rarely complain." Denise is cracking the whip over there. Don't believe Denise. She's cracking the whip. She's cracking the whip. You're not going home today.
I mean, but you know what? I think too, if you
Does
like
that.
what
Wait,
you do,
let me say this. She has a great staff, and she's right. Though that's the environment though, Niel. You as an employer, you should try and create where someone wants to come work for you. And once they're there, because sometimes you go to a place and they're very welcoming. You know, your interview, and then your first day, your first few days, week or whatever, they're so accommodating, and then it becomes, oh my gosh. You go into the offices of the Washington Informer, which, by the way, at the end of this month, it's going to formally celebrate its 60th anniversary. It's going to be great. Martin Luther King Library in D.C. Folks, go on and get your tickets, Eventbrite or wherever. Go to WashingtonInformer.com and find out more information. But you go in there, and Denise has had she's had some white folks work for her over there. And for
I
one,
mean, yeah, you know.
well, and one was one of the best journalists we've seen when it comes to environmental reporting. So Kayla Benjamin. So, and of course, you got Sam Collins over there who, listen, I'll put Sam up against any journalist in the nation, and he's happy to be there. So you have to create and maintain that atmosphere. And Denise started way back with her father. Her father created it, and Denise has continued it on.
Yeah, I think it's two things. It's creating an environment, and then it's also loving what you do. You know, if you have a job, you know, and some people are blessed to be able to do what they love to do, and then sometimes you take a job because you have to pay the bills. And I think going back to our initial conversation about the hustle, is sometimes you have to do both. You know, in order to do what you love, you have to sacrifice and do maybe what you don't love doing in order to get to where you want to be. So, you know, it's two things going on, but it shouldn't be that hard, especially when you look at other countries and they have healthcare. I remember during the Olympics, the United States Olympians, they were so excited to be in Paris. They said they had free medical, they had free dental, and everything that they had to pay for in the United States was just free over in Paris.
Yep,
You know,
yep.
and it was a normal thing for people in Paris, but for us Americans, those Olympians were in awe. It
Yeah.
was like, I'm
Well,
going to get my root canal pulled. I'm
yep.
going to get my teeth cleaned. I'm going to get a pap smear. I'm
Yep.
going to go get I'm going to get a mammogram. I'm gonna do everything before I go back to the United States.
Yeah, I have a niece who goes over every year to get her physicals and stuff, and when we were there last year, folks were saying how doctors, you know, they do their job. Some of them have more than one job. You talking about side hustles? They don't. They're not like the doctors here, where it's all about money. One guy told us a story about how his doctor is married to another doctor, and they barely, the two doctors, that they live in a small, what they call a small flat, um, barely pay their rent, that they get by, and you know, they're not making six figures like the doctors here, or more like the doctors
Mhm.
here. And aspirin doesn't cost $100 for one aspirin over there. You can go over there, you get a prescription, you get it filled, and everything is done.
Right.
So it's greed. It's
Yes,
American
I
greed.
agree. I mean, our medical system to me is set up based upon pharmaceutical companies. And you know, I'm always telling my mother and my grandmother, like, stop running to the doctor for them to diagnose you with something and then you have all these medications and they're constantly adjusting them. but it's all for the pharmaceutical companies to make money.
That's it. That's it. It's the pharmaceutical, and that's why they hate the many of the Republicans hate Obamacare, and they've been
And
doing
that's
every
expensive. Obamacare is
well,
expensive.
they have right, and they have made it expensive. When the Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act began, it was wow, you can get insurance for this. You know, your premiums are low, the what you call it,
Not
the
no more.
co-pays, but no more. Oh gosh, no more. And
It's
that is
like
because
having
the
Anthem or Kaiser.
that is because of the continued assault on Obamacare by the GOP. Um, Greer says we also come from a time when most people chose their professions with a different mindset. We go in the news storytelling business because of the love or perhaps reverence of someone. Today, it's become something different. She says she had a great reverence, I should say, for the Afro and the Amsterdam news. I know we grew up with the Amsterdam news, that's for sure.
Yeah, here in LA, it was of course, the Los Angeles Sentinel. That that's just like it went from Central Avenue. Now it's over here on Crenshaw Avenue. But yeah, like Black newspapers are the bedrock and institution of how Black communities across the country get their information. And so they're so vital to our communities, and to see, to be a part of it and see now that we're in the digital space, now we're in the streaming space to expand the legacies of those before us. It's a really good feeling, like when we're talking about careers and doing what you love, and actually helping the Black press to get those dollars that a New York Times would have, or the New York Post, and Rupert Murdoch and all these conglomerates that get all these advertisement dollars. But Black press has to fight for those dollars. So to be able to be in a space to kind of help move the Black press forward, it's a great place to be in. Sometimes.
No, I'm sorry. See, I keep cutting you off, and it's like I thought you were done. I'm sorry, but
It's okay.
the first, let me say this: RNG says the New Orleans Tribune and the Jackson Advocate are still his favorites. Um, but one of the things that comes to mind too when you talk about the revenue of the Black press and the advertising and things like that, if you really look at it, and somebody, if I'm wrong, correct me. I don't think I'm wrong, but back, especially during Jim Crow, during the civil rights, even going back beyond that, but certainly civil rights, the advocates, the civil rights folks, King and Abernathy and all of them, they made sure to direct business to the Black press. You didn't see them going to mainstream media if they wanted to get a story, if they wanted to tell a real story, or even if they wanted to do advertising. They kept the money in house. They went to the Black press. Today, we don't see. It's not. Again, I'm not trying to knock the NAACP and the Urban League. I see advertisements from them or whatever layouts from in mainstream papers. I don't necessarily see it in the Black press.
Tell the truth and shame.
Sharpton.
Tell the truth and shame the devil.
Yeah, I just think that we had more of an avenue within our own community, especially from the civil rights community, that pushed money into the Black press. And I don't think that we see any of that. Just I think it's we might have these little so-called what you call those agreements where it's no money exchanging hands, but we have these gosh, I don't know why it's slipping my mind, but these type of agreements where okay, we're gonna be partners. You could tell our story and we'll put the Black press banner at our events or something of that nature that means absolutely a hill of beans today.
Right. I think it's across the board. We can go to Congressional Black Caucus. We can go to
BBC.
all of, it's like sometimes you have to fight to get these interviews, but yet they're fighting to get to mainstream media for a 3-second hit. I mean, a 3-minute
Mhm.
hit. When we could be amplifying our own spaces and really be strategic about it. You brought up the word advocacy. When I think of the Black press, I think of news, views, and advocacy. And that's one
Mhm.
thing you can always bank on with the Black press. They're not just going to tell you to vote, but the paper might be the polling place, or the paper might be where you go souls to the polls. There's a bus waiting to take you to vote. So there's always a sense of advocacy when you think of the Black press. And it's just, like you say, Black production companies, Black advocacy groups, they tend to think that the grass is greener over there when we really
Yep.
should be watering our own grass to build our own, especially in this Trump climate. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? We need to be more unified and more strategic on how we spend our dollars. And I'm talking to the legacy organizations, the Black Hollywood, the Black
Mhm.
advocacy groups. We need to learn how to strategize and be more strategic and intentional about investing in Black media to tell our own stories.
100%. And yes, thank you, Daniela Pierre. MOUs, Memorandum of Understandings, is the word I was looking for. And Denise reminds me that it is Black Press Week, and this Sunday is actually the anniversary, the 198th anniversary of the Black Press of America. 198 years, and that alone, folks. When you think about a Black organization, a Black owned and operated organization, no infiltration, at least that we know of. No infiltration. 198 years. That's something to really, really celebrate. It's something to get behind. Because
Right,
because one of the things when you try to get behind something, when you go invest in something, I know when you look to invest in some sort of stock or you look about how long has this stock been around, how's it been performing, and whatever. And we've been here 198 years. That is something that really, again, we're older than the NAACP. We're older than the Urban League. We're older than so many others. Because you remember the two people who founded the Black Press, that was before the end of slavery.
mm.
That was pretty bold. I always say that. That was pretty bold.
In a time where we couldn't read or write, we weren't allowed to. So I mean that speaks volumes within itself. And for us
Yeah.
to be sitting here this morning, I feel honored. May the ancestors be pleased.
Well, what you got for the quickies?
We got some let it be known quickies. Or Odell Beckham and Drewski respond to Diddy allegations. So,
Uh-oh.
So the two were named as defendants in a lawsuit against Diddy by a woman named Ashley Parham. And they are accused of rape from an event that allegedly occurred in 2018.
Let me say
No,
something.
but let me finish.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now, Drewski responded and said that he was broken living with his mama at the time and he didn't even know anybody in Hollywood. And so I will let you go, but I think that this speaks to you just can't accuse somebody of something and not let them, and then they're just guilty because they're men. Like the Me Too movement has kind of tainted the whole due process of innocent until proven guilty. Now I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah. Have you seen the lawsuit? Have anybody seen that lawsuit that was filed against Drewski and Odell Beckham? I did. And I don't understand. Listen, I don't know the case. I don't know these guys. I don't know the girl. I don't understand how certain things get filed because
Mm.
she does not the lawyers for this girl, unless she filed it herself without lawyers, I'm not sure. She does not use their proper names. She says Drewski and Diddy. The name Sean Combs is not in there. I'm not even sure what Drewski's name is, but Andrew something, I guess. But it says Drewski. It does mention Odell Beckham, but it says Drewski and Diddy, and the way it was worded from there, it's like, okay, is this a real? Because I kept looking, and the reason why I pretty much tried to ignore it because it looked like it was just something conjured up. Because to be honest with you, I thought Drewski was just making this stuff up himself. just to because this guy seems to do anything for attention.
But rape allegations? I don't
Yeah. So when I
more.
say that, right, when I say that, what I mean is like when I first saw it on his, because it was on his timeline when he started talking about living with his mama and the thing or whatever. I thought he was making a joke out of something because that didn't look like a real lawsuit. And then I realized, no, this guy is really upset. He's really serious about this, and this must be somebody must have done this. But again, looking at the lawsuit, the legal papers, man, what is that? And it goes to your point though. The same thing we saw with the Jay-Z thing, with that lawyer out in Texas, Busby. You can't just, you shouldn't just be able to just file, uh, just to file. You know, and hoping for some sort of, payoff. It should be, and as serious as these allegations are,
Mhm.
you have to be held accountable. If you are lying, you should be held accountable because this is career ending. You know, the New York Times did a story the other day. Lauren, of course, Lauren of all people, you knew Lauren is going to be all over this. She texted me, uh, it was yesterday. She texted me, and New York Times did a story about Andrew Cuomo, and their headline was like, "Will the Me Too movement catch up with his run for mayor?" or something like that. And it's like nobody's talking about Me Too anymore, and
Well, that
that
organization folded. The organization pretty much folded because the money that was coming in was spent more on administration and salaries than it was on doing the work. And that movement was predominantly for Hollywood, and it wasn't for the real people who are affected, who don't have
there
the
you go,
financial resources or the
there you go.
platform to advocate for themselves. So I
Yep,
never was a really big fan of Me Too because I thought it was a
it
privileged
hijacked
space.
it.
Yeah, it was a privileged space because I'm a woman, but if I want to be in a movie and I say that I am going to compromise myself to get to where I want to be, I can't turn around 5 years later and say I was a victim. No, I was a
Mhm.
willing participant because I wanted to get that movie. Now, it might have been gross and I really didn't want to do it, but I did do it because I wanted to be the leading actress. That is not, taken advantage of. That is a willing participant to get to where you want to be. And I think all of those things got mixed up. And the woman at Denny's who was really being sexual abused, she's still being abused. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? And
right.
these Hollywood actresses became the face of it, which took away the whole purpose of it.
It really
So,
they hijacked it. And I used to say the same thing. It's so refreshing to hear uh, a woman say it because I thought the idea, the concept of Me Too was great. It's like about time somebody stand up for women who are
right.
being abused on the job. But it quickly was hijacked to not be about, like you said, Denny's or corporate America,
Or an executive assistant or,
executive assistant.
just
Yeah,
that type of thing. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
And all of a sudden became a tool to end careers
mhm.
instead and get money instead of shutting down um, this habit, this disgusting trend of these corporate executive abusing these women, taking
Right,
advantage of them.
right.
And like you
And I'm
said
not
today,
saying that
it's still going on.
yeah, and I'm not saying that women don't get taken advantage of in Hollywood,
Oh yeah.
but it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right? There's a certain, the couch is real, but you don't have to participate in the couch. There are a lot of actresses that have been successful without being on the couch. That's just a route to get to where you want to be. And it's fine if you take that route, but you can't come back 10 years later and play the victim. Not after
You know,
that you done got nominated for 5 Academy Awards. You done got 50 movies and you're a millionaire with a house in Bel Air. And now
mm.
you wanna come out. I don't think that's fair. I just
Pamela
don't.
Anderson was the one person in Hollywood, one female in Hollywood that really spoke up about that and said exactly what you're saying. And one of the things that I always remember was what she said about the Harvey Weinstein thing. So somebody said they went to his hotel and, um, when he answered the door, he had the robe on and nothing under the robe. And Pamela Anderson said, "Why did you go in?" Why did you go in? She said, first and foremost, this is what Pamela Anderson said. First and foremost, why are you going to these places without your agent? Because your agent has to make the deal. You don't make the deal. Um, and then she says, if I go up, and now we know Pamela Anderson's reputation, what type of roles she's played and Playboy and all of that, and the sex symbol. And she says, I go up to your hotel room and you got a robe on. She says, I'm saying, we'll reschedule. And I'm walking away. I'm not going in that room.
Or it depends on how bad you want the role.
And that's exactly her point.
But you're an adult, and if that's what you choose to do, hey, more power to you. You're a consenting adult. But don't come back 5 years later because now this person is in trouble and you want to say, oh, that happened to me too. Well, not quite. It didn't. No. You was a willing participant and you got that movie and that budget.
Right.
Knock it off.
Knock it off.
My heart goes out to all of the victims because there are victims out there. 100% there are victims out there, but everybody ain't a victim. Some people are willing participants. Okay.
Yeah, some. I mean, there are like you said, we're not discounting real victims. What else you got on the quickies?
Okay, so the quickies, NAACP's daytime soap opera Beyond the Gates. I don't know if anybody has seen it, but it is crushing daytime ratings, beating out General Hospital and key demos, and it's up 78% from The Talk when The Talk was in that time slot. The show airs daily during daytime on CBS, and so I got to catch a couple of episodes, and it is a soap opera like any other soap opera, but the cast is predominantly Black and it's pretty good. But that's huge news for NAACP. There we go, NAACP. And for all the actors and actresses that are a part of that show, they're doing a phenomenal job.
All right. What else you got?
All right. And then Candy Burris, Othello debuted to a record-breaking $2.6 million on Broadway, and it's starring Denzel Washington. And so, Candy left those Atlanta housewives that started this Sunday, whole new cast, but she is still doing her thing. And she's setting herself up for an EGOT, which is an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and what's the T? EGOT.
Tony.
Yeah, so she's setting herself up to get an EGOT, and I think that's great for her. And then next up, funeral services for Angie Stone will take place this Friday in Atlanta, and then Saturday she will rest in her hometown of Columbia, South Carolina. And guest speakers and performers include Tyler Perry, Kirk Franklin, Anthony Hamilton, Music Soul Child, Tamla Mann, Kiki Wyatt. So if you thought yesterday was beautiful, Angie Stone is coming too. And then next up, I thought this was a great story coming out of Georgia. Charles E. Drew Charter School's boys golf team has made history as the first all-Black team to win Georgia's state championship. And so the young golfers also received a $5,000 donation for the team's golf course from a PGA player. And so that's just, we excel in all categories.
So,
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Finally,
Don Staley in the South Carolina win over Texas in the SEC Tournament Championship. We're ready for some March Madness. We know that Don Staley and South Carolina, we're looking for them. We're looking for USC, Juju Watkins. We got Paige Buckner out of UConn. Just those girls are balling. I don't even think we talk about the boys basketball anymore.
I'm serious.
We don't even talk about them no more. We want to see the girls ball out.
Yeah, that we really don't, huh? Well, we have to get Mike V has continually asked, so we're gonna have to reach out again to Karine Jean-Pierre. He wants her on the show, so we're gonna have to get her on the show. We gotta make it happen and get her back on the show. It would be interesting to see what she's got going on. I know she's doing she's been doing something. They included her on Broadway. Oh gosh, I believe it was the Stephanie Mills thing but she is doing she's doing a lot. So let's get her on the show, and so we can talk about that. Here's something else, Neil. Wendy Williams was taken to the hospital yesterday. Now, um, you know, there are conflicting reports about her. Now, I saw the video of her leaving her apartment, going into the ambulance, and she sound fine. So one report suggests that this was something that she had asked for, so that she can show that she is coherent, that she is fine, so you can get an evaluation, to help her leave this conservatorship. Now, another report suggested that there was some sort of issue and they had to come get her, but um,
Well, she took a cognitive test to show that,
okay,
and it came back at a 10. So all of her faculty, she's in her right mind. That's what the test was for.
okay.
And she's also going to appear on The View this Friday.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so she's definitely taking steps towards her freedom from her conservatorship, which is what I think a lot of people want to see. And of course, she's speaking up for herself now. So she's much better. She's much better than what she was.
You know, these conservatorships, we've written about them before. Um, the idea behind them, you understand, but for all far too often they are abused, taken advantage of. It is it never seems to go the way the courts would like it to go. I mean, we saw the Britney Spears one, of course. She has obvious issues. Britney Spears does, and
Oh yeah, those two that's like apples and oranges. Britney Spears and Wendy Williams.
yep, yeah, exactly. You before the show we were talking. So folks know that we had a Zoe Lee is the name. Is her
Zoe
name? What's her name?
That's her name.
What's her name?
Zoe
The Zoe,
Zoe
the black
uh,
MAGA.
yeah, Flippin' Chicago. The
Yeah, what's
founder of
her last
Flippin'
name?
Chicago, Lee. Her name is Zoe
Oh, okay.
Lee.
Okay, that's what I said. I thought you said I was wrong.
Uh-uh.
Um and apparently that's not her. There she go.
Because of the Democrats where I come from. And the only way that you can do to show them that ain't nobody playing with them is to go to vote the opposite way, because
So
we're not
do
ready
you
to go independent.
do you understand, Zoe, that like you said about Chicago being a Democrat for so long, and what the Democrats have done in Chicago, which obviously doesn't sit well with you, but do you understand that Republicans, that people in Kentucky, people in West Virginia, they feel the same way about the Republicans?
Okay, well the nation do the same thing I'm doing. Flip theirs blue.
Exactly.
Flip theirs
Exactly. And so again, had you had any idea of what this show is about, I think you'd been a little less hostile, a little less
Well, no,
willing
because
to
y'all started.
jump on.
You started.
No,
with
we were. I was asking.
Trump.
I was
We're not
trying.
gonna do a bashing Trump.
I,
I voted for him.
why
So we're
not?
not gonna
Trump
do a
is
bashing
bashing
Trump.
your
Who did you
people.
vote for?
Trump
Who
is
did you vote for?
bashing. Trump is bashing everybody who looks like you, who sounds
No,
like
he's
you.
not. I don't know where
Oh
y'all
my
are.
God,
I don't
he
know
should.
what.
Okay.
I don't know where
Okay.
y'all are getting y'all news
How long are we
from.
gonna go with
But
this?
he hasn't
Looney
bashed me
Tunes.
at all.
So I have a question.
February 20th.
And so what happened when you got there?
I just have to give you this little background. The week before February 14th, I received the invite. When you receive the invite, they ask you for your full name and your social security number. So just follow that, right? Now that's a whole week. February 20th come, I give them my ID because there's a checkpoint before you walk in. They said it was 2 checkpoints, but I got to the first checkpoint. Secret Service said that I had to come over to the side, went over.
The bottom line is they arrested her. He's talking about what the Secret Service said or whatever. Bottom line is that they knew she was coming. They laid in wait and they arrested her. But the point of it is that folks, that clip when you talk about viral, it has gone totally viral, and all types of comments in the chat there. I mean, gosh, a lot
Yeah,
of
but
comments.
I didn't respond to them because they were all negative towards Zoe. And I mean, I felt bad for
Why?
I felt bad because I can agree to disagree. You know what I'm saying? And I just felt bad, and I didn't want to respond to any in agree. That one was funny. In agreement with what they were saying, I just let it speak for themselves. You know, they say when you argue with a fool, nobody could tell the difference. So
Mhm.
I was like, I'm not going to engage, but I found that all of the comments literally were they just couldn't believe what they were hearing. And they also thought it was ironic and funny that she was defending Trump, and then she went to the White House and got arrested. A lot of people in the comments were like, "I've been to the White House. They check you out before you even get there." So they knew they let her come and they let her get arrested. That still didn't even trigger her to, because she told us on the show, she was like, "I'm over Republicans and Democrats, but that don't have nothing to do with Trump. Trump didn't do nothing to me. I don't like Republicans no more. I don't like Democrats, but Trump." And I think
Mm.
that's the difference between MAGA and Republicans. MAGAs are Trumpsters. MAGAs are Trumpsters. Republicans are people who have those conservative values, but I mean, Donald Trump has taken over the Republican Party, so I still don't understand how you can even be a Republican at this point, um, and be a part or affiliated with Donald Trump, because there's no difference there is a difference, but it's just becoming so blurry that you don't know what it is anymore.
Well, you can be if you're a billionaire, I could see you aligning yourself with that. If you're a racist billionaire, um, because you got to be racist to go along with this, and you got to be a billionaire to be happy with this. And Zoe is neither a billionaire or I venture to say she's not a racist. So I don't get it. you know, um, folks have we keep continue to see these folks on now. They're not just on video on social media. Now they're going on CNN and ABC News and NBC News saying, I didn't think he was going to hurt me and my family. I thought it'd be different. In other words, I thought it'd be y'all who he hurt, and now they're expressing all this remorse for
But
supporting him.
not the black folks. I
Not the
know.
black folks. No, I'm saying the the
Yeah,
the the, the
yeah,
white MAGAs
yeah.
have been going, because we would see these videos pop up, and you always got to question social media as to the authenticity. And now you're seeing them in mainstream media constantly. They're writing about them, they're broadcasting about them, that they are regretting their support of this guy. And then you get a Zoe who comes on, no, you know, she loves some Trump.
Yeah, well,
Well, explain why.
the black Trumpsters do. I was saying, I know a couple that were on payroll for Trump's campaign,
Right.
and they were high up, over
Yeah.
black, media, over, and they didn't get a job. They still don't have a
Yeah.
job within the administration, but you can't tell them nothing about Donald Trump. So the black folks that were most supportive of him, that were on payroll, that helped pull out the black vote for him, they're still not a part of his administration.
And look, even if you said that, even if Zoe said that, right? It was about a check. I can respect that. I wouldn't agree with it, but I could respect that. Candace Owens, what's that? A check? Stephen A. Smith. It's about protecting his check. I get it, but don't try to disguise it as something else. Just say what it is. Mike V says, but the fact that they thought it would hurt black folks and were willing to go along with it by voting speaks volumes about how much disdain they have for us. This is beyond politics. Yeah. And Greer mentions the 2 in Georgia that went to jail from the last time. So, it's like, come on. It's a grift, but it gets out of hand when you feel like you got to start defending it without defending it with truth. If she defends it with truth, this is the difference. Now, her disdain, I think if you unpack it all, her disdain for Chicago Democrats have bled over to her disdain for national Democrats. Which, that's her right. If she wants to be angry at folks who had nothing to do with her plight, that's on her.
Yeah, what I also find interesting is that clip goes viral, but the issues that are really important, you can't get a like for. That turned black folks on yesterday. They had so much to say, but then you post something that is like important, like the Black Lives Matter mural, going away, or things that can impact your family, and people just kind of pass that one by, scroll on by. But that one right there, oh, they just, they just,
yeah. Well,
so
Inferno
it's like,
9,
we gotta get some more magazines on here.
Inferno 932 said they did.
Your mic went out.
My mic sounds nice. Check one.
There you
I was taking the page from your book. Inferno 932 says they didn't vote for the orange clown to help themselves. They voted for him to hurt the people they hate. Yeah. Anyway, that's 100%. Remember, tomorrow is a big day for us too. It's Black Press Week. We got stuff going on tomorrow, Niel.
We do. I'm excited about it. I'm excited
Yeah.
to get to DC, and I want to head over to the Black Lives Matter Plaza before it's all gone away. And I want to just celebrate 198 years of news, views, and advocacy with the Black press, with all of the publishers that are coming. Looking forward to connecting with some lawmakers. Looking forward to connecting with you. We're going to be doing the show live together, I heard.
There you go. Yeah, if I can weather this storm of mine, that's for sure. You might be solo. We're gonna be at Cocktails and Kitchens.
Cocktails and Kitchen, which is a Black-owned establishment in DC. Yep. They have delicious food, delicious cocktails, and we'll be having a toast. Greer has been planning it. Special shout out to former Tennessee Senator Katrina Robinson for helping us with this as well. But we're going to be doing a toast to 198 years. So if you're in the DC area, come on by to Cocktails and Kitchens and have a toast with us.
Well, they got an RSVP.
Yeah, I think what's Greer's email?
Greer, which one is Black Press? Greer, I think it's Greer at blackpressusa.com.
There we go.
So RSVP and show up 6:00. I mean, look, Kitchen and Cocktails is absolutely awesome. It's an awesome place, awesome food, and
most importantly, it's Black owned.
It's G Marshall. I'm sorry, G Marshall at blackpressusa.com. We don't even know our own emails. They keep changing stuff around here. But G Marshall, 2 L's, Marshall at blackpressusa.com. Just come by and have a drink, have some food, and join the Black Press. Like Neil said, it's gonna be a lot of folks, the lawmakers, you name it. Some special guests, I'm sure, will pop in, and maybe they won't just pop out. Maybe they'll just hang out with us. So that will be cool. So 6 p.m. at Kitchens and Cocktails and Kitchens.
Yes.
So there you have it.
And during CBC Congressional Black Caucus conference, the California party is usually at Cocktails and Kitchen.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. And tomorrow we got a special interview tomorrow. Flo J is coming by to say hello in the morning. She's gonna talk about this new Experian program where they're giving all of this debt, $5 million plus in debt for consumers in Louisiana, and that's gonna spread to other areas of the nation as well. So it's a good thing. And she's behind, she's involved in all of this, and she's bringing her star power to this
Well, I want to
cause.
talk
So
to her about. I want to talk to her about March Madness. I want to get
March
her
Madness.
predictions, her picks. I want to know what she thinks about Juju Watkins. I want to know what she thinks about Paige Buckner. I want to know what she thinks about the NBA, the WNBA possibly going on strike. I want to know it all.
Uh-oh.
I want to know it all.
Well, she wants to know it all. And it is Kitchen and Cocktails. David is right. And again, 6 to 9 p.m. And again, tomorrow. So tomorrow's a huge day. We got, of course, the show, the interview with Flo J, and you got to pick up some Black Lives Matter stuff from the plaza there. And it's 198 years of the Black press. So come on in and join us. Women's History Month highlight.
So this today for Women's History Month highlight, it goes to Doechii. I don't know if you guys know who Doechii is, but she is a female artist on TDE, the same label that Kendrick Lamar came up on, SZA's on that label. But she was named Billboard's 2025 Woman of the Year. That's a huge award for her as an artist. She kind of like blew up in 2024. And she just performed over the weekend with Lauryn Hill. Lauryn Hill brought her out to rap that thing. And it was almost like a passing of the baton. Lauryn Hill is in a category of her own when it comes to hip hop and women in hip hop. And so for her to bring Doechii out and let Doechii perform her song, but to perform that thing, you could kind of see the excitement in Doechii and in Lauryn Hill for her to just do that. It was a huge deal. So congratulations to Doechii during Women's Month for being named Woman of the Year by Billboard. That was pretty dope.
Nice. Wow. And on this date, y'all, in 1959, A Raisin in the Sun, the first Broadway play produced by a Black woman, Lorraine Hansberry, debuted at the Ethel Barrymore Theater, starring Sidney Poitier and Claudia McNeil. The play, which was influenced, I should say, by the poem Harlem, also known as A Dream Deferred by Langston Hughes, is based on a struggling Black family's experience in the Washington Park neighborhood in Chicago. We know the film came out of that, and later Diddy and Felicia Rashad and others redid it. But of course, there's nothing like that one right there, the original. Wow, Sidney Poitier, A Raisin in the Sun, an anniversary. Wow. I just remember that so well. It was like one of the first movies I remember as a child. Of course, it was before I was born, but it was like one of the first movies I was allowed to watch. It seemed like everybody had to watch A Raisin in the Sun.
It's interesting. I remember we had to read it in school, but but now I don't even think it's banned, right? According
It's
to
on the
Project
banned book list.
25, and so these are treasures within our community that they are totally erasing.
So, do you think Poitier? Where do you rank him as far as actors of all time?
I would definitely put him in the top 3.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think of Sidney Poitier, you think of Harry Belafonte. I think of it, and if I think of today, I would think of Denzel Washington, Samuel L. Jackson. If I would go younger, younger, who would you do younger? Maybe Michael B. Jordan, maybe.
Yeah, Michael B.
Or
Jordan. So I guess he's no longer that young anymore, but I really thought it never really got and doesn't get the uh, the props he deserves is Lorenz Tate. I think he's a heck of an actor. Michael Ealy is another one.
Michael Ealy's good.
Um, yeah, there are some really great
I was
black
gonna say Idris
actors.
Elba, but I'm like, he's from over on the pond. I'm sticking with American
Yeah,
actors.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it just is great. Don't
He's
get it twisted,
amazing.
right? Yeah, but I think that there's so many unsung ones that you wouldn't think. Don Cheadle is
Cheeto,
another
yes.
one.
Sterling K. Brown. Is it Sterling
Sterling
K.
K.
Brown?
Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shonda H is saying Chadwick Boseman. Denise
Oh,
is
for
saying
sure.
Lawrence Fishburne. Um, Michael K. Williams, of course, from Greer. Um, I think I just think that Sidney Poitier, and we didn't mention Billy D. Williams back in that day, but I think Sidney Poitier was the standard bearer. And I think the one guy who consistently matched Sidney Poitier was Denzel Washington.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know who would be one or two in my book, but James Earl Jones, Inferno 932 says. That's another one.
And out of
He
all of
did
those
great.
individuals that we mentioned, we know that Sidney Poitier, he was the first Black male actor to win an Academy Award, right?
Correct.
And then Denzel Washington, has he won an Academy Award? He has, right?
Yes,
For
two.
Training
Yeah,
Day. Training Day.
yeah. He won a
Um,
best actor and a best supporting actor.
yeah, so so they fall in line. But I definitely would put Samuel L. Jackson. Well, maybe not. Yeah, I would put Samuel L. Jackson because he's a very versatile actor.
Oh, he is. He
Yeah.
really is. Um, yeah, he's he's one of the he doesn't play comedy roles, but he's one of the funniest guys to watch. Right.
Right, right.
That's for sure. Um,
Mhm.
and of course that language though. You gotta watch the language. But yeah, there are some just certainly great. We didn't mention Forrest Whitaker, another great one. You know who's
Mhm.
really good, surprisingly good to me. I say, and this is just my word, surprisingly good is Will Smith. I think Will is surprisingly good.
Oh,
Um, we got somebody mentioning Richard Roundtree, Morgan Freeman, Jamie Foxx. So I mean, we can go on and on with this, but I think it's a great conversation to have. Cuba Gooding Jr. And we didn't mention the great Lou Gossett Jr.
mm. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, but we really didn't. Danny
Betsy
Glover.
Davis, Danny Glover. Yeah,
Danny Glover. Yeah.
yeah. And don't sleep on John Amos. I mean, the roles that he played too, not just the good times, but I mean, he played some roles, and we all remember Roots. So um, he played that. So some great actors. And somebody said Blair Underwood. So we got a lot of them, and so that goes to another point about Hollywood. Remember that Oscar So White? All these guys we mentioned there, and you said it. Who won the Academies? Sydney and Denzel.
Denzel.
Yeah, that's a problem, isn't it? Somebody said Kansas City Mac. Yep, that was
It,
my movie too.
it
Let's
makes
do it
you think
again.
we should have stayed segregated because we wanted to populate into white, America and their awards when we should have been appreciating our own.
There you go. And another lesson for this time that we currently find ourselves in, right?
Right.
Wow.
And
Um,
I find it interesting too, a lot of times. I mean, we have the BET Awards and we have the NAACP Image Awards, but I feel like those award shows can be more intentional about
yep,
picking
100%.
Black owned projects. Because if
100%.
if if you're awarding people that have productions by white entities, I mean, it's okay because they're Black, but I think we could be more intentional about how we give those awards out as well.
Denise says Jeffrey Wright is another one. And RNG says Louis Gossett is where he got the term mayonnaise from, Officer and the Gentleman. But you're right about the NAACP I always felt like those awards, BET, nothing against them, but I think I always felt like they pick folks that are going to bring ratings more than anything else. So, the Black-owned newspaper of the day. You want to do it?
You got it. You take it away.
I got it. All right. So it's the Indianapolis Recorder. It was founded in 1895. The publishers were George P. Stewart and Will Porter. The current publisher, William G. Mays, and what began as a two-page church bulletin by co-founders Stewart and Porter, the Indy Recorder newspaper now hails as one of the top African-American publications in the nation. In 1897, the co-founders of the newspaper dedicated or decided to expand their already successful news sheet into a weekly newspaper. The earliest existing issues of the Recorder dates to 1899, the year Porter sold his share of the paper to Stewart. And in 1998, Mays' niece, Carolyn Mays, took the leadership role as publisher and general manager with the challenge to give new direction and further elevate the publication for survival and success in the new millennium. So they took a turn and made sure that they started publishing positive news. And the paper, because of that, the circulation increased by more than 200%. And the readership has grown by 62% to nearly 100,000.
Nice, nice, nice.
Yeah, there you go.
There we have it. All right, you guys. And you always know, for the latest in Black news on a daily 24/7, visit blackpressusa.com.
And let it be known news. Here we amplify Black voices and headlines that reflect or impact the Black experience. So keep tuning in, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Hit subscribe, y'all.